How should you write your organizational description in a grant application? My name is Benjamin Dean from grantgetting.com. I hope you enjoy this video where we're going to jump into this question with 3 considerations and a few other tips for answering this, thinking about your organizational description. Check out the free download in the description, which will have 7 additional tips. So when you're writing your grant application, in some cases, the organizational description will be captured previous to you getting into the particular application. In other cases, it'll be all within that same application. So in the cases where you're on a platform where you have multiple grants that you are applying for, and you have one organizational profile page, which will have this organizational description question. Your strategy is going to be potentially more nuanced or not, up to you. But I'm going to talk a little bit about that. In the case where you have the organizational information, description, contact information, all of that within the same application, I'll speak to that directly in this video. And the more nuanced application of this, when you have a separate profile that sits above multiple application for multiple grants, then this all still applies, but it's your choice on whether to apply it or not. And I'll explain that at the end. So you're writing an organizational description. First and foremost, you're writing it for multiple reasons, multiple things to consider. One is that you're writing it to be read by a particular funder. Okay, that's number one. Number two, you are writing it within the context of an application for a particular project. Number three, that project aligns with the funder in some way that you are articulating throughout the rest of the application and have hopefully already researched. Okay, so those are the things you need to have in mind: the funder, the project, and how they link together. Those pieces of information should color your approach to filling this out, to answering this question, to describing your organization. Now, it's not so much to say that describing your organization needs to be 500% different in this application versus this. It's more to say you just need to explain it in a way that is, of course, understandable, but also compelling. Why are you doing this? Are you doing this to get a grade in a classroom? No, you're doing this to get money. You're doing all of this work to acquire resources for the very important work that you're doing as a nonprofit. So every part of the application and every part of what I call grant getting, the whole wraparound communication strategy process, is, or rather should be, aimed at increasing the likelihood that you're going to get funding. Okay, so the organizational description is no different than that. That's the context. So point number one, in the organizational description, highlighting your mission and vision, or say mission, vision, values, those 3 things. In some applications, you will have a separate question that says, what is the mission of this organization? Or what is the vision and mission of this organization? I'm answering that question also within this question. Okay, so if give me a description of your organization comes after tell me the mission and vision of your organization, treat them as one question. Okay, at least in thinking about them right now, because what you're attempting to do for the most part is the same thing, whether they're 2 questions or 1 question. Okay, so if they are 1 question, tell me about your organization, then you have the choice of talking about your mission and vision or not. If you have the choice, you should. So the analogy I have is you meet someone and you're considering partnering with them to make an impact in the world. You don't exactly know the type of impact that you want to make, but you're getting a team together of people that are going to do positive things in the world. Okay, now you have the choice between one person who is very focused on what it is that they're doing. They have identified a particular need that they want to help in their community. They understand the resources, and it's really just this laser focused on solving this particular need, and they seem to be competent in doing it. On the other hand, you have somebody who's super open-hearted, super kind, super caring. They don't really care where they make impact. They just want to do it. They just want to find a way to make impact, right? Huge heart. Maybe they even have some resources and some relevant experience, broad experience. Of the two options, if your goal is to create impact, you will choose option A. You will choose the person who has a vision, who has a mission, who has the structure, some degree of structure, organizational structure in place, pointed in a particular direction, because they are far more likely to hit a target if they have a target versus very unlikely to hit a target if you don't have one. That's the analogy I have for these sections. You want to be describing and articulating your organization to be person A, somebody who has the focus, who knows what they're going after, who can acquire the resources to do the thing. Okay. This in some ways can set the stage for the rest of your application. Now, this is where you are thinking about these three different things: the funder, the project, and the tie between them. But if the idea is you want to utilize let's say the goal of this section or these sections is to put forth your organization in a way to showcase yourself as being organized, being focused, and being intentional. Those three things, or those three ways of thinking about this. If that is the goal, then you're cross-referencing that with what does this funder care about from that research that you've already done? What is this project about specifically? And how does this project fit within there? And you're tying these things into your description of your organization. When these things are clearly articulated, mission, vision, values, funder fit, project fit within each other, it's going to help the grant maker understand what drives your organization. So I've seen this positively done by some organizational description. Organization A provides this to the community and has this goal and has achieved these things. We have a long history of successful program implementation, and we're very excited about this next project, Introduce Project, which we know will have an incredible impact on our community because of our demonstrated impact in other programs, because of our pilot that we have done on this program, because of the year-long history, and we're expanding it, whatever the case is. So you're using the project in the organizational description sort of as a tie-in for the rest of the application, typically. Okay, so that's one. This is the first thing to consider: is high level mission and vision. You have a focus, and to the degree that you are able, you want to include that this project is squarely in your focus area, and a phrase or a sentence as to why. That's number one. Point number two to consider when putting together your organizational description: impact. Okay. The organizational description being a place for how many people you have served, how many things you have done, how many counting items you have. That is fine to do that, but it will not help you stand out. Okay? Numbers in the outputs of a program are becoming less and less desirable by funders. And the more sophisticated the funding source, typically, the less that is going to be this wow number. You served 600 people last year with your thing, or you've served this many mile radius. That's an output. Okay. So throughout the application, this is something that will set you apart, tremendously in all of your communications, including grant writing, but moving more downstream into the outcomes. Why does this matter? Providing meals to children in need is important, but why? It's important because these meals provided the nutrition required for them to thrive in their school environments. As this teacher said, insert teacher testimonial, we are in the business of X, Y, and Z. outcome oriented, okay? Impact oriented. The work that you do on the logic models for your program will pay you back 100-fold, okay? Getting those outcomes and impacts mapped out. So that's the second thing. The third thing within the project description, you want to tailor this in the end to the priorities of the grant maker. And that can come in many different ways of thinking about it. You know what they care about, okay? You want to craft and insert how the mission and how the impact fits within their goals. You've done some selection, some selective wording already, but now you're going to even be more direct. There is nothing wrong with a direct sentence in the organizational description, something like, our organization partners with funders and community groups that have priorities such as yours, X, Y, and Z. That's what we do. You're able to describe your organization and what you do by describing back to them what it is they care about, this funder cares about. Okay, so direct statements demonstrate that you've done the homework and that your organization is a perfect fit for funding. It is not just mouth service. This is showing that you have done this research. Okay, the organizational description being part of the application, all in one flow, all attached together. That's what we're talking about. I want to address briefly when you have an organizational description that is sitting outside of the application, you have a choice to alter that as you are submitting your application. This is a little bit more nuanced, but if you can swing it, it is 100% the right thing to do, which is to say, let's say, just a simple example is you have a funder who has a platform that they use to receive their applications on. The first step in you getting spun up on that platform is to create an organizational profile. The organizational profile, that set of questions includes your logo, contact information, the executive director, board director, grant writer name, the one submitting proposals, contact, your most recent 990 might be on there. Your board count might be on there, demographic information, where you're located, your address, organizational description, mission, vision, all that together. That is filled out. Then it says, okay, great. Now you can apply for a grant. You apply for the grant. Great. You get it. You don't get it. Whatever the case is. Next year rolls around and it said, hey, it's time to apply again. This application is open. You log back in. It's the same funder, but maybe with a different focus area, and you have the same organizational profile. Do you change the profile or not? The answer is you absolutely change it if you can. Okay, so you, more than likely, the following year, are not going to copy and paste the exact same project for this funder. More than likely, not a good idea. So you are going to be writing a different application, which means you're going to have different priorities. And that should be reflected in your organizational description. So in that example, hopefully that makes sense. The other example, which becomes even more nuanced, is when you have a platform that has an organizational description, but has multiple grants operating over the course of the year from separate organizations. Okay. In that case, you just need to be very careful. And you need to be thinking about who is going to be reviewing this when. When are the review periods for each of these applications, setting reminders on your calendar with pre-written, descriptions relative to that time period. So if you have application A opening on this date and being reviewed on these dates, then you're going to change the description on this date. And then you're going to hear by this date. So you put something in the calendar after that to change it to a more general description or to another description that better fits with the next application period. Okay, so just a little bit more work in that, but again, you are increasing the likelihood of getting a grant. So those are 3 tips. In the download section, in the description, you'll have a free download, which is 7 additional tips on filling out this organizational description for you to keep in mind. So feel free to do that. And then if you have any thoughts or any questions regarding organizational description, throw it in the comments below and I would love to help out. Thanks so much, and we'll see you in the next video.